You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Reza Riffs. This is episode 3. I'm Keith Reza with my trusty sidekick, Alan Lee. How you doing, Alan?
Very good. Very good. Glad to be here as always.
Yeah, it's been a rough week. We had a lot of cancellations this week.
That wasn't fun.
Yeah, it was not fun.
It was exciting. It was just over the edge, man.
It was like we had 5 guests and they all canceled.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, it's kind of like dating. You know?
Yeah, that's a very good analogy.
Yeah.
I've had many cancellations dating.
You ever go on
pre-cancellations even.
You ever go on a date, and you realize it's not the date from the picture or something, like on Match.com or something?
You know, a lot of times I let that go by.
You let that go by?
I say it doesn't matter.
Well. But no, we were supposed to have Norm Macdonald.
No.
Then he canceled because his mom was sick. Then we were supposed to have Jeff Richards.
Mm-hmm.
He canceled because he had a stand-up gig. Then we were supposed to have Brian Scalaro.
Mm-hmm.
He canceled because he's still in New York.
Yeah.
Then we were supposed to have, the list goes on and on.
Well, that's the dating game in
know.
comedy.
But
you know how you can come out, though? You can come out with something even bigger and better.
Well, that's what we did. We got something bigger and better than all of that.
Quite better.
And then last second, too.
That's correct. This gentleman we're coming up here is a heavy hitter.
I think we should just introduce him because I think that we didn't take enough time writing jokes this week because I was so worried about the cancellations.
The whole writing thing went right out the window.
Yeah. And plus, let's face it, we're not the best writers in the world.
Well, we haven't won any acclaimed awards, and that's why.
Yeah. We're still trying to find sponsors. We can't get sponsors.
This is going to be a very helpful evening for us.
Yeah, well, for those of you listening, we have a great guest. He's been in a couple movies like Cellular, which I actually grew up watching, The Hunger Games, and he was the original winner of Last Comic Standing.
Yes, sir.
So let's just bring him up. Please welcome Dat Fan, guys. Come on, yeah.
Right here. Historical, actually.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me be the sixth pick. That makes me feel pretty good. Is that I'm number 6 after 5 cancellations. That's fantastic.
Well, thanks for doing it, man.
You bet. Awesome. Yeah, I know you guys were looking for a Cambodian comic, and he canceled as well.
Yeah,
he had to go fishing for his family. He's like, well, now what? I guess we're gonna look for the Vietnamese guy. The only Vietnamese guy in Studio City. That's what we're looking for,
But no, it was cool that because you're very busy and that you just came out, and did it. I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you growing up watching Cellular. That's
a
heck of a.
I loved that movie.
Yeah.
You know why I like that movie? Because the writer, I forgot his name. It was like Larry something, but the script was just so original. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It
was fun. You know, at the time when I met Chris Evans, first of all, I had no idea that he was gonna. Oh, your phone's blown up.
Yeah.
Is that Tinder right now, or what's going on?
It was a tweet.
Oh.
I wanted to tell about my movie, but he swiped right, and now the chick's a match. I can't even talk about Captain America. Now we've got this hot chick on there.
There you go. There you go.
I apologize.
See what happens.
I should have turned off my phone.
See, and he can improvise. See how quickly he improvises.
It's because
I'm more jealous. I thought it was an iPhone 6 at first.
Oh,
but then I realized that was the screen. That's like the flat screen instead. That's a 6 Plus right there.
Big one.
I think the phones are getting bigger though, so I think the iPhone 19 is going to be this big.
About that big.
The iPhone 19 is actually a gurney that you lay on. You die from cancer from the phone, and then you actually lay on top of the gurney, and that's the iPhone 19.
Pre-approved.
Right. Pre-approved. Yeah, it causes cancer, but it also is part of the medical Obamacare that helps you get carried.
Oh my God. We're controversial now. I love it.
That's
I
funny.
love it.
Oh, I was just talking about health insurance. I wasn't trying to get into the politics. The politics of.
No, I meant that was the health insurance was controversial.
But no, tell us about Cellular before.
Cellular?
Before.
Well, I just wanted to know, I did 2 other movies. I did Saki Bomb, Hungover Games, and then also 108 Stitches. Those are 3 movies that came out in the last year. But Cellular was before that. And when I worked with Chris Evans, it was cool because when I met him, he already had like the body of. I'm straight, but even a straight guy, when you look at Chris Evans, like, oh my God, look at this guy's body. He looks like a superhero.
Yeah.
Very nice guy. Very charming, very cordial, and great actor. I'd say something that people don't know on Cellular. One of my scenes where I was on the phone at the phone booth, that had a piece in my ear where I was talking to another actor, to do my scene, and I was supposed to be talking to Chris, but they could usually just have some stand-in talk to me, and he actually was on the mic himself with an earpiece of his own, doing the scene with me to make sure that
Wow.
I was able to do it right. He was very generous and a very cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's recording and cueing and.
Oh yeah, because what happened?
that?
Because I'm on the phone, but inside the earpiece, there's another earpiece, and it's remote control over to where the director is.
Wow.
But Chris actually said, "Hey, Dad, if you want, I could do it. I could talk to you and do these lines exactly the way the scene is
That's
to make it
pretty
easier
cool.
for you." I mean, he
Very
totally
cool.
didn't have to do that. He could have
Very
went
cool.
to go sleep in the trailer or whatever.
Well, see, and at the time, like at the time, Chris Evans probably wasn't as huge because the only other movie he did was like not another teen movie. So like this was like one of his main.
Right.
He was starting to get big and stuff.
He was always very respectful to me during the whole shoot of the movie,
Yeah.
and I was very happy to hear that he was part of the Avengers.
Yeah.
You always root for the guys that are really nice and not
Yeah.
somebody that was,
Exactly.
know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I thought he was a great Captain America. When it first came out, I was like, I don't know. But
I'm
then I
sure
was like, wow.
that and I have read Captain America comics most of our lives, and I was pleased with the look. You know what I'm saying? It's hard.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
for some actor to become the picture of the comic.
You know what I loved about the latest
Yes,
Captain America?
yes.
We're going to
Yes.
dangerous territory here because I see your Marvel thing.
Yeah.
I'm huge into anime. and
love-
I mean, this is
oh,
going to
the
become
anime.
this is going to become a bunch of guys not getting laid in a second. It's becoming. It's what's that TV show where we're in the comedy TV show where they're what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right?
They're super.
The Avengers?
No, Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang.
Bang.
Except
yeah.
for they're actually getting laid. We're not
Yeah,
getting you know what I mean?
exactly.
It's one small part.
No, the cool thing about Captain America, the latest one, is like they were having battle scenes on the freeway, like in regular clothes, and it wasn't like
Yeah.
the cheesy superhero thing, and they only wore the uniform when they had to,
yeah.
and then they had the other stuff was
Yeah.
part of the uniform for battles. It was really cool. That
I
they did
really,
that.
to be honest, I even enjoyed the first Captain America. I mean, I thought the Winter Soldier was good.
I think the Winter Soldier
Right.
was very good.
I think Captain America, honestly, is the best comic book movies out right now. I
I agree.
wasn't a huge fan of Thor. Everyone likes Iron Man.
I wasn't crazy about Thor, but what I loved about Thor is that they didn't take themselves too seriously
Oh
because
my God.
there was plenty of jokes throughout the whole
Plenty.
movie.
There was
Yeah.
light,
And the sequel. Oh yeah. So
I-
they were like, hey, let's just do this. We got a hammer.
Because I bet Dad
And-
saw a Shakespearean. Remember the actor that played Thor is a Shakespearean type.
Oh,
And I
yeah?
thought it was going to be to be or not to be Thor.
Yeah.
You know.
And I gotta hand it to these guys because they're acting and they're also
Yeah.
doing all sorts of special workouts and diets to match the
Yeah.
superhero
hello,
look.
I'm still trying to get those abs.
Yeah, I just
Me
found
too. I just want Jesus' abs. I'll be happy with Jesus. He has really nice abs.
Great
Yeah.
Jesus abs.
That's good.
Passion of the Christ. He was
Thank
he was buff in that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, I should stop right now before I get killed. So let's
No,
stop there.
we love you. Dad.
No religion.
No, not by you guys. I know
Oh.
you're comics.
We're
You're not
cool.
gonna.
Oh,
I'm
no,
talking about the
please.
people listening out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Oh.
There's people out there. What?
Right.
Abs on Jesus.
Yeah. You don't want to stretch it too far with the Jesus on
Oh.
the cross thing. It's
But no, I actually got to start doing the dieting and getting in shape because I just realized I got cast as a superhero in the Avengers 34. So
well, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, who do you play
who
on?
do you
Are you
play?
Captain America?
I
or
think
what's-
I don't know yet. It's 30. I still got 32 movies to figure out my role. I mean,
Wow.
But you're in the
Yeah,
family.
that's.
You're in the family. He
I'm
looks
thinking
like
I'm
a
going to be
Captain
like the
America
doctor
relatives.
with the machine, be like,
Yeah.
oh, close the
There you
gate.
go. You
I'd be like the worst on Avengers because I'd look around at Scarlett Johansson and everybody like, wow.
Me
they're
too.
They're in costume.
Me
and-
too.
Yeah.
Like during the film, like while they're filming, I'll just stare at everybody.
Stare.
Like, wow, everybody's working out really hard.
I'm with you,
Yeah.
man. The same thing would happen to me.
I didn't expect to talk about superheroes, but now that you bring it up, like, it seems like all the actors playing the superheroes, in a way, like, they bring the comedy, and they're not comedian-trained actors. You know what I mean? Like, for example, Robert Downey Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
I think he's more funny in the superhero movies than, like, in all
Oh yeah.
Is that funny?
You know what I
That's
mean?
An interesting observation.
and, like, Mark Ruffalo, whatever his name is, I think they're funnier in the superhero movies than in their just comedy movies.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
That can happen.
Yeah,
Like-
that's probably because you don't expect it or something like
Yeah.
that. But Robert Downey Jr. He's naturally funny.
Oh, he's
anyways.
good. He has a comedic.
Yeah.
Don't you feel a comedic?
Oh,
background?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think he was funny before that, but he was especially funny as Iron Man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I was laughing up because
Yeah.
like Hugh Jackman and Wolverine, like I thought he was funny with all his sarcastic remarks. I was like,
Right.
wow.
Downey
Anyways.
owns that Iron Man now. I don't know. I tried to cast Val Kilmer in it. You think Val Kilmer could be Iron Man? I was trying to, go see.
Well,
if I
back
could,
in the day, I mean, I tell you what, whether it's Val Kilmer or somebody, I mean,
Val
I would
Kilmer-
wear.
Excuse me. Back
Let me
in
tell you
the
this:
day.
I would wear
I'm
the
sorry.
Iron Man suit wherever I go, like pick up chicks at a club.
Sure. Yeah.
Why not wear the blue? I mean, like
Sure.
you're competing against 8 dudes.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
might as well have the Iron Man
Might as well.
power source right there.
But why would you choose Val Kilmer? I mean, he
No, I'm
ruined
just trying to
Batman.
think of different men. Well, he did play Batman. See, he had already been a
Yeah.
superhero. So I said, well, what's the crossover? Do you, Batman to Iron Man? I don't know. I was
Hey, Dad, I did have one question, and this question is I'm sure you probably don't get asked this a lot, and I just find it remarkable because I'm a struggling stand-up comedian. I still live with my parents, and I'm struggling. I've been doing
At
comedy.
least you don't have to pay rent.
No, I do pay rent with my
Oh,
parents.
well, that's
but
that's bad.
but yeah, it's
Oh,
pretty.
you have like Asian parents?
no.
You pay, you late.
like,
what?
But
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm struggling, and even though I have a home, I'm blessed. And I read that while you were a struggling comic, you lived in your car.
I did. I
Like-
did. I'm from San Diego, and when I went up here, I went balls to the wall, like just straight out. I first lived with a guy in North Hollywood, and we shared like a 1-bedroom, not even one, like a studio,
Yeah.
typical up here. And I was living under a desk. That happened over and over again because like you get your little corner as a comedian, right?
Sure.
So you have a choice between a desk or a bed. And to me, like I could sleep on the floor like a little Vietnamese refugee from San Diego.
Yeah.
And then I lived under a desk, but eventually I went to him one day because I ran out of money, and it was the most humiliating. I was like, hey man,
my.
I just want to let you know, I have news. I can't afford the rent. Like, what terrible news, And he goes,
Please.
what?
My nightmare.
So basically, we made a plan where he was going to move to Venice Beach. I didn't want to move out of, I call it the hot zone, which is where Hollywood is.
Yeah.
And
like
so I
that.
stuck around,
I like that,
and
hot
I ended up
zone.
living out of my car.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, it'll be rent-free, even though my car was going to be repossessed.
Yeah. Wow.
And you know what? Come to think about it, I hardly dated any chicks during this time. It's amazing how women don't come around.
They don't like that.
They don't like you living out of a Saturn. There's something about being on Tinder and living out of a Saturn SL1. I was like, wait, but it has plastic polymer panels. So they don't care. I was like, wait, I have a gallon of water and I have vitamins and a loaf of bread, but they don't go for that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Something about women.
I just find that
they're
so
hard.
fascinating because I mean, obviously times were tough for you, but you stuck with comedy. You know what I mean?
You know something kind of cheesy? Not that I'm trying to sell it, but at the time I had Tony Robbins stuff on disc, and I was listening to Personal Power.
I've listened to those.
while sleeping in my car. That's my bedtime story every night.
great.
So I had nothing
Tony
but my
Robbins.
beliefs. Yeah, Tony Robbins. I was listening to him, and I mean I didn't go through his program. I just like somehow I bought his thing, and I like listened to it like church every night.
Yeah.
And going, listening to. Crying to it and stuff, and then I was weighing tables at I worked at different comedy clubs.
Crying to it.
Yeah, crying. Yeah, I get very emotionally sensitive
That's
to
good.
the things he says,
That's good. That's
Like
or I
what-
was starving. It's one of those two.
One of the two.
The tears of starvation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like when you say working, like you're performing or like doing the door thing, like working. As a door
I was.
guy?
It's weird because I was a double agent. I was like working at the Comedy Store in Hollywood, and I
Yeah.
would change my shirt like Superman, and then go over to the Improv and put on the Improv shirt.
Nice.
So the comedians,
Dad.
they would complain to
Nice.
me. They're like, "Hey, you traitor! I saw you over there." And then later on, I see them over there. I'm like, "How do you know?
Yeah.
You were there too."
I love that.
Exactly.
That's in the can.
So
I love
eventually they
that
started
story.
asking me inside information, like, what do I know? I'm like, oh, so I came from
changed
communists to now being your informant, like it's some type of body of lies, CIA, Ridley Scott thing going on here.
Thank you. I love it. I love it.
Now,
So-
now, would you say working as a
great.
door guy like helped your comedy? Like, because you see all these great comedians come in.
I learned a lot. I
Yeah.
watched a lot of headliners do their tricks. I learned how they handled crowds, counter heckling. I learned how the politics of comedy worked in LA.
Yeah.
At the time, I was just 25, 26 years old,
Yeah.
and you have that energy and
You have the
could-
drive.
The
Yeah.
drive. I mean, it's kind of a. I would say that it's a young man's game, but then again, I see people make it when they're 50 too.
Yeah.
So
Comedy is
I learned a lot. I learned a lot being. I mean, it's like being a paid intern. I mean, it was minimum wage at the time,
Yeah.
but I was getting paid to
Which
basically.
was like $6, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, here's the thing: when you are, well, actually, it was $6.50. The 50 cents makes a difference. but at the time, I would be living out of my car like these other comics, or just living under a desk. But the difference was we get the scraps. The door guys, like after the headliners get off,
Yeah, you get.
who's around? The comedians that are the door guys.
door guys.
So I went up and I was able to, work
Sweet.
on myself. It's like being the
wow.
towel boy at
Please.
at a boxing ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You know what I
cool.
mean? And then
Yeah.
like when they're not training, you get to go into the ring and
You
train.
can train. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a good deal.
You can't pay
because
for
my
that.
friend, he works as a door guy at the Irvine Improv, and he's a brilliant comic, but he can never go out because he's the door guy at the Irvine Improv. So what they'll let him do is like if an opener or a feature, is not on time for the show, they'll let him
Right.
go out.
Right.
But he can't go travel and do comedy. He's stuck at
Yeah.
one venue.
But at that point, you're kind of interning, learning, and because of that, I learned to have my own comedy outfit ready in my car.
Yeah.
So when they go, hey, so-and-so's late, you want to spot? Yes, absolutely.
Good
Whatever
piece
you
of
need.
advice. Good
And then
piece
I
of
would
advice.
go, and this sounds awful, but I can say it now. At the time when I was working the improv stuff, it was a restaurant too. Great food. I was
Yeah.
starving.
Yeah,
So
sure.
it was very much the $1 Million Baby thing where I would be carrying trays of food to the garbage,
Yeah.
but then I would be pocketing some of the food that we're throwing away.
Yeah.
no.
And
no,
I would save it for later on and eat the scraps
me,
and kept me alive.
I
so.
have done that as a
Yeah.
waiter.
And did
Someone didn't finish their prime
Sure.
rib, and I just could not dump it into the.
And that's why you never.
dishwasher.
That's why you never see the waiter. Like if you can't finish your prime rib, you don't see them going. So, you're not gonna
You're not gonna
finish
fi-
that? They never talk you into finishing your meal.
No.
You want me to take that away from you? Like I just cut into it right now.
Thank you.
now if you
Yeah.
if you like saw half a cheeseburger, like obviously someone bit it, like did you pull the bite marks off or did you just eat
Everyone's different
Yeah,
on that.
it depends on how hurting you are. I mean,
Yeah.
you could also look at the customer. If the customer looked like they have
Yeah.
Ebola, then I probably
You
would
just
cut
cut-
around the thing. You know,
That would be good.
Yeah,
Right,
but,
exactly.
I mean, we didn't have Ebola here at the
surgical
time.
removal, No.
Yeah, but if they look like they're
Yeah.
pretty clean
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
most part, you could tell. I mean,
Yeah,
if they're
sure.
gagging right there, they're wheezing,
That's
then you
not
probably
good.
should.
That's
but
not good.
but if they weren't in bad health condition, then you would just eat what you could. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how much food people throw away.
Oh,
know?
but starving.
It's true because I think they like when you order food, I think they serve it. You know what I
We're
mean?
lucky. We live in a land of McDonald's and Whoppers and prime rib abundance. And I want to tell Dad that my name is Alan Lee, not Bruce Lee, but I am half Cantonese.
You're not Bruce Lee.
No. He may be.
Dad's
yes,
like,
yes,
all
he
right,
wrote
interview's
that.
done.
He wrote that. Let's just drop that thing. But I'm half Chinese and half Cuban, and so I've had great
Wow.
food.
Your cigars
Also-
are made in Taiwan. Sorry.
That's correct.
I apologize.
See, and I'm not a communist. I'm just
Yeah.
a regular guy. But he would understand that we both have a background of food fetish because if you're Asian,
Yeah. I wouldn't use the
somehow-
word fetish.
No,
That's kind
is
of
that? Tell me,
rubbing a. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's good. I want to hear this. 'Cause I want.
Well, fetish sounds like you're rubbing a steak.
No, that's
That's
right.
true,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. I don't know
Or
why I
between
put
your
it that
toes or
way,
something.
because
Rubbing
food,
a
food
right.
is
egg
like
roll
I
on your
rub
nipple or
myself
something.
with food and anyway,
Fish sauce,
from one Asian to a half Asian, we understand food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love eating. And the hard part is when I won Last Comic
Sure.
Standing,
Yeah.
I actually partied for a year straight. I got it all out of myself. I was drinking. It was crazy. It was,
nice.
thank God
Nice.
cell phones were not video. Like
Yeah.
the video cameras didn't come until like
Yeah.
2005, 6, 7, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I won in 2003, so a lot of evidence was not recorded. But I partied like crazy. I don't want to go into the detail of what it was, but I also ate a lot too.
Sure.
So I started like blimping out and not working out and like, meeting some women here and there, but like just it was crazy.
Well,
Drunk, it was nuts.
The next question I had was about the last comic standing because you won the very first one,
We have,
which to
thank
me
you.
is like the most special one because it was the
I'm like the Vietnamese Kelly Clarkson of comedy.
yeah
It's like if Kelly Clarkson came from Costa Mesa, Orange County,
yeah
that would be, and she was a dude. That would be, yeah.
Very
But,
good.
I mean,
Yeah, that would be
You
interesting.
beat a lot of comics on that show.
Yeah.
You beat Todd Glass, Ralphie May.
Ralphie
No,
mean,
Todd Glass
May.
was in season 2.
He was on season
Yeah,
2?
Ralphie May was
Ralphie
in
May was
season
Oh,
1, yeah.
but you did beat Ralphie May. I know that for a fact.
I did, and I didn't think I was going to win.
Yeah.
I honestly thought Ralphie was going to take it. I was shocked that I made it to the final 5.
Really?
I was just thankful to make it to the final 10.
Yeah.
Quite
The final 20, really.
Please.
So
Yeah.
everything was a bonus.
Now, I mean, I'm sure it's different now, but like in the days like when you how did you get that audition? Did you have a manager? Or did you just walk in and?
Once again, I got to the point where I got out of my car. I was living out of my car, and then I eventually lived under a desk again in West Hollywood this
yeah.
time. So I was
Time under a desk.
living in the hot zone, but basically living under a desk, sharing it with Ron McGee, my roommate at the time, half Korean, half Irish comedian.
Wow.
And
He must have been really jealous that you won because like he's a comic too. And he's like, no, my
he's a
room.
good guy. Actually, I owe a lot to Ron because when I was living out of my car, he let me crash at his place with his parents for 6 days at the time.
Nice.
So his parents were like,
Wow.
"Who's that Vietnamese guy that's roaming into that?" I had like a bird's nest because I hadn't showered for like several days.
Yeah.
So I was sneaking in and out to sleep on his floor.
Sure.
So Ron actually, in a way, saved me when I was. And there was it was. I'm not a Christian, but there was a team of Christian comics that booked me at their churches, and they gave me like a couple $100 here and there, which gave me food to eat.
Yeah.
So I can't trash Ron. Ron was actually, I know it sounds.
Oh, we
he was,
don't trash anybody.
No, I mean he really was my savior at the time, and then also I ended up living next to him in West Hollywood, and then we were given this email because we were able to pay for it. Basically, we shared the studio that was, I mean, this would be a mansion compared to the studio that we're in, right? And the studio is about the size of a walk-in closet. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And you'd have to step over the body of another comedian to go to the bathroom.
Sure.
It's that bad. And then, but we were able to afford internet, and at the time, it was just barely above 56K. Remember when we were just barely going to Cat 5?
Yeah.
And I checked my email. They said there's an experimental TV show if we want to submit. Word got around, so I emailed the Last Comic Standing guys, sent them my package.
Nice.
And then the rest is history.
That's fantastic.
Because like I've actually I tried to audition for it last year, and they said the whole email thing, but I never heard back from them. So I was like, you know what I mean?
It is when Last Comic Standing season 1 was out. We didn't even know what the title was at the time. Like we didn't know what it was. We had no idea what was going on. I mean, American Idol was just barely season 2 at the time. So back then there were not a whole lot of managers and agents and everybody getting their hands in the pie. Now that we're at season 8, you're talking about the whole world trying to get in on it. I mean, they have Britain's Got Talent, and they have all these other things going on.
Spawned, it was like
so. It's almost easy. It's kind of like going to college is a little bit easier way back in the day. Now trying to get into UCLA is almost impossible unless you're some type of borderline genius.
Yeah, there's so many applicants.
I think. I mean, did you watch it this last season? Oh well, they had Roseanne, Russell Peters, and Keenan Waynes as judges.
Right.
Now I think Peters and Roseanne, great judges, but I think like they need another stand-up comic as a judge. I mean, they should offer it to you, like the original.
That would be cool.
I respect they have their own production. I mean, to be honest with you, the reason why I don't watch a whole lot of comedy is I do it for a living, and I've done it for a living, fortunately, for the last, 14 years or something crazy.
Great.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a regular job for 14 years. But when you do comedy full-time, you're basically, let's say if comedy is like a tree, and then part of that tree there's like improv, there's, the sketch, this and that, blah, blah, stand-up comedy and all that. Well, if you're part of that tree for so long, the last thing I want to do on my time off is step away from the tree and then stare at the tree.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, let's watch more comedy right now.
Exactly.
Like, I want to lose my mind.
I didn't think about that.
That is a very nice
but
comment.
I mean,
like that. Honest.
But I respect it. I respect the tree. I just don't want to be staring at the tree.
Yeah, but now that you bring that up, I got that. But I mean, if it was offered to you and like they say, hey, Dad, here's $7 million just to be a judge, would you do it?
Yeah, of course.
He would stare
I
at
would
the
do
tree.
it.
I mean, because
Sure.
that would be cool because like the very first Last Comic Standing is judging. Like to me, like I love Roseanne. She's the greatest female comic ever. I love Russell Peters. But if the original winner of the show is judging,
Or if it just came and judged like one episode.
something
that'd
like
be
that.
That's a great
guest
idea.
judge.
I think
Well,
it's a
Sure.
great
I'd
idea.
offer you $1 million for one episode. Not-
No, I mean, here's the thing. I have to respect that they have their own system, their own production. Because the whole production changed over to other hands.
it's
and all that
totally
stuff.
different.
And I can't come in and be like, "What's going on here? I want,"
Sure,
I let go a lot of anger. I mean, what do I have to be angry about? I mean, I won Last Comic Standing.
I know.
If they offered, great. If they don't, I have to move on and do other things. I do a lot of martial arts. I know it's very Asian stereotypical, but
Black belt Aikido.
oh, cool.
And I studied with Dan Innocent. Excuse me, if you mind, I'd like to speak with have an Asian conversation for just one moment.
Well, it's not just Asian. There's a lot of white guys and,
there are.
and black guys doing it now too.
He took some martial arts. But Dan Innocento. I studied with him, at the Kali Academy, the Filipino Kali Academy in Torrance.
Yeah.
And I sparred with Bruce Lee's son.
Oh, Brandon?
I did.
You sparred with him?
I certainly did.
Oh, that's cool.
When he was,
Did he have the crow outfit on?
No,
That's probably inappropriate.
He was
I
a
apologize.
little bit
Yeah.
younger than that, but I mentioned it to,
That's cool.
impress you. Yeah.
That's really awesome.
And your style, what is your?
I started off in Tang Soo Do, Taekwondo, and eventually I went over to Kung Fu. And then recently I have stuff like Krav Maga, combat jiu-jitsu,
combat
and then
jiu-jitsu.
Thai pads, Muay Thai.
Muay Thai.
I
nice.
studied with a guy from a ninjutsu clan. I can't say from where. somewhere in Europe.
Oh,
and
ninjutsu
yeah,
class.
but I didn't study it
please.
for that long. But
Okay. Yeah,
I'm
wow.
I've been in MMA for a long time, but I'm not a fighter. I mean, I train with MMA fighters now,
fighters,
and I would
yeah.
not do. They're modern day gladiators. These guys
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I have respect
See,
for them.
I do too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the first thing I tell them. Like,
Yeah.
I'll train and I'll
Right.
start getting like a little bit, just a little bit more beefed up. These guys are monsters, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And as soon as they go, hey, so you want to like go join in a fight? And I'm like,
No.
no. I see the injuries that's
Yeah.
going on.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get the injuries they get doing stand-up comedy. You
Very
know
much,
what I mean?
very difficult. Not
Yeah.
impossible, but difficult.
So I respect what they do, but I also enjoy the other side of the martial arts, forms, weapons, things like that.
but,
so
but
Well, see,
Dad and I wouldn't be afraid to walk down a dark alley.
no.
But we would still look over.
I
our
would. It
shoulder.
depends. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. No, the thing is, I actually took a break from martial arts for several years right after Last
Yeah.
Comic Standing.
Yeah.
And when I was living on my car, I couldn't afford it,
Yeah.
But after a while, I kind of needed to go back to kind of like some people go to church.
Yeah.
I really got
You
the
know,
clarity in my head.
It's addictive. It becomes part of you. It is
Oh, yeah.
a need. Yeah.
Well, what's a huge part of it is like after you go through a horrible breakup or and
It's-
like a girl like
I-
just
I-
really
Yeah, sure.
smashes your heart, right? And
Bag work.
that somehow triggers something in you where I'm gonna do push-ups and do martial arts until my arms break off, basically.
That can happen.
Wow.
But I don't know if you get this. I actually get high from doing martial arts.
Oh, the,
I don't even need weed. I could actually do martial arts and
the
and
endorphins
for-
in your
yeah.
body and the key and all
It's
of that.
natural. It's
Yeah.
great. You lose weight, and I'm
Yeah,
like, this
you
is
do.
the best high I've ever.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do martial arts.
But that's the thing. A lot of stand-up comedians at night they're out doing stand-up, right?
Yeah.
And with me, I do stand-up when I have to go do the road and all that stuff. But when you get your head gets kind of cloudy because you're kind of not getting the exercise and all that stuff.
You want a little.
When I do martial arts, it really just clears things out, and I could just think crystal clear. It's so much.
It's such a
nicer.
mental thing.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone sees everyone. Oh, he's going to beat somebody up, and the movements are really for the clarity of your mind.
I do say this though. It does affect your writing though. I
Oh?
I
Oh, this
believe
is
I have a
wonderful.
theory.
Please,
Well, I'm
please.
one of the few that teaches
like
the left
this.
brain, logical,
I
linear
like
thinking of stand-up
this.
comedy instead of the right brain. A lot of creative writing is from the right brain.
Yeah.
So
Music to my
so-
ears.
No,
Oh,
seriously.
no, this is
seriously.
great.
So a
I
lot
wanna
of
hear-
comics, a lot of the jokes
Yeah.
come from that creativity, which
creativity.
also links to sleeping in late, sleeping on the couch, junk food, you name it, right? And just
thank you.
cloudy. So that's why it comes from dysfunction. It comes from pain, pain and time. So when you do martial arts, you're clearing all of that out, and you're thinking full on linear,
Yeah.
crystal clear. So then you kind of have to somehow force yourself to switch over to the creative side, which is the reckless side.
It's funny that you bring that up
Nice. That is
because
this-
Dad called me this morning and I woke up and he's like, "Hey, I'm a comic. You're probably asleep."
You guys are so funny. I call this guy at past 11 a.m. Okay. At this point, people
sure.
are getting ready for lunch, so I'm calling him past 11 a.m. And I used to be like, I used to wake up like 2 p.m. Right.
Sure.
Me and my girlfriend wake up like vampires, right? But I'd call him and he's like, "Hello." He sounds like he just got attacked by 4 dudes in an alley, right?
That is that's
Yeah,
a great.
it's like, I'm like,
that's
bro,
a good impression.
are you okay? Are you? Do you want me to wait? And he goes, "No, I'm awake." What are you? I'm like, "Can you send me the itinerary to where I'm supposed to?" Like, yeah, I'll do it right now, buddy. I'll do it right now. It's like he's coming out of a coma or something like that.
That is a very
Yeah.
good
But
impression.
I was up all I was up all night raging because I headlined the Brea Improv, so I did like
because he was up late. He
I
really
was
performed last night.
raging.
See,
pretty
you have a
hard.
more exciting. I mean, you're out raging, doing God knows what, and I don't want to say what drugs or alcohol and all that. Me last night, what was I doing? I think I bought the movie Her, and just sat there like a little wuss, crying to the guy from Gladiator, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just, it was going. That's about. I was drinking orange juice. Yeah, that's about. No vodka, just orange juice and carrot juice.
Very good.
Yeah.
I had a little
Yeah.
wine, but I just watched an episode of Arrow.
See, I'm losing man points. You at least watch a superhero movie, and you're drinking wine. I was drinking carrot juice and orange juice, watching Her alone. I mean, what's going? Yeah.
Okay, you win.
Now I
That
had
is good. That's
I had
funny. That's very
another
funny.
I had another question about comedy because now now you're touring and you're headlining sold out shows and stuff. And I'm sure you did this when you were starting. You saw a headliner and you're like, hey, I'd like to open up for you or something. Do comics go up and ask you?
They do that, and I have a solution now because I've
Yeah.
been approached by 10,000 comedians
Yeah,
for that.
yeah.
So basically, I have several Facebooks, I have Instagram, Twitter. I'm on there all the time, and these guys are attacking my inbox, basically going, "Hey, let me open for you." Here's the trick. Here's what it is, and it's being very true and real.
Uh-huh.
A lot of comics with all due respect to their abilities of being very funny, are lazy. They're smart and lazy.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That
And
hurt.
those two kind of feed off of each
hear
other.
you. I hear
So
you.
basically, what they're really saying is, "Hey, man, so how can I open for you? And you get nothing out of it. I'm really funny, and I'm just gonna have you promote for me. So I'm gonna promote you, and pay you,
Yeah.
and have you get stage time, which we get high off of.
Yeah.
Basically, eventually house you after a while, pay for your travel, for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, I mean that doesn't. So let's do that to 10,000 comedians. I'm gonna be bankrupt,
That's
right?
that's a work
So what?
ethic.
So the solution is, I tell these comics, I go, look, here's the deal. If you're serious, we're gonna go under training. So you're gonna go under these classes. You're gonna learn the left brain, logical way of business. You're gonna learn how to make money as a comedian. Most of them don't get past step one. They're like, what? I have to. I don't. I have to. I'm like, all right, just forget it. You don't have
So
to.
You
yeah,
said
if you
that
can't
word.
get past
Yeah.
step
Yeah.
1, why should I
Yeah.
teach you step
Or
2?
they go, I really want to make it. I want to become famous. I
Yeah,
want this, that. And I
everybody
go, okay,
says
cool.
that.
The meeting is, we'll have a meeting at 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. And they're like, well, can we do it? I'm like, okay, how about change this time? Like, well, what about? I'm like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We don't ever have to have a meeting. And good luck.
Well,
I'm trying to
Dad,
offer them
you're making
an opportunity.
A wonderful point. I had a conversation along these lines. Please continue. I'm loving this man because he's making a point that's not made too often about that word business.
Well, no, see, because
Right.
people ask me this all the time because I open for Norm Macdonald every now and then.
Cool.
And I've known Norm for about 9 years. And when I first met him, that's all I wanted to do was open for him. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
and I asked him, and he was very truthful. He was like, "You're not ready." And he told me this for 6-7 years. You're not ready.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then when I was ready, he offered it to
Sure,
me. Like, I
of
just
course.
gave up asking. So, like, does that,
It's very similar to martial arts.
yeah.
That's like somebody saying, hey, I
Yes.
want to fight in the MMA, or I want to
Yes.
become a black belt. I want to do this. I want a black belt now.
Yeah.
You don't go up to the instructors and go, hey, give me a black belt.
Yeah.
I'm really good. How often do you see that
Yeah,
working in a
please.
school? You're gonna get your you know what beat,
a
right?
lot of pain to get that
Right.
belt.
But have you noticed that when you are ready, the instructor or the master goes, hey,
Let's
is
hit the
somebody
road.
getting attacked next door?
I-
There's a
I-
woman that's screaming over there. Is that normal
I hear
here?
it.
Or?
I hear it
I
also.
think they're
They-
filming a porno next
They're
door.
filming
Oh,
a porno.
please,
That's
I-
over here,
my
Vietnamese
mom's-
comedy with Bruce Lee and,
And
Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, and then
now
over
we
there
have-
we have a woman that's she's under attack. And look, you're getting a booty call. What's happening here? Tinder's going off.
No,
it went from vibrate to loud,
loud
now.
now.
I put on the phone
Yeah, yeah.
because the thing was going to say when we got to start who wrote
See,
jokes.
this is a good example of someone who takes it all in.
It's a good thing
that is taking it all in.
It's a good thing his alarm wasn't a lady getting attacked.
Oh, my.
Because now I was like, oh, is that a lady getting attacked or is that your alarm? It sounds the same. So I guess we don't hear any alarm. It's just some lady getting attacked right now.
Well, that alarm was to play Who Wrote Jokes because we actually have to cut 10 minutes tonight because there's a second show. I hate second shows.
I want this-
It's kind of like stand up, The first show you have to be right on time, and the second time you
Yeah.
could always go. You know
Sure.
what I mean? So
This man has made me laugh so much. I think I'm at a club, not
I
at
know.
At a podcast. I don't. I
Wait,
don't
what
know
type of a strip club or?
No. A comedy. A comedy.
I like,
club, you know.
you want some? But can I plug my stuff
no,
coming up?
please.
oh yeah,
Please
definitely. We're
plug.
gonna.
I'm dat_fan on Twitter. I'm addicted to Instagram. Same name on there. I'm on Facebook. You can find me all over there. And then also I have a bunch of shows coming up in San Diego, Vegas, Hawaii, all that stuff. You can find out on datfan.com. It connects you to all my Tumblr, everything.
Oh, when are you in San Diego?
I have a bunch of shows coming up in November and December, mostly December. And then I have like Temecula coming up too and all that stuff. I
Temecula.
have a whole tour schedule.
Dude.
I mean, it's booked up to I think June of 2015 or something
Let's
like
go.
that.
Let's go to San Diego and see. it.
I would love
Yeah,
to.
wanna
And that's
party?
dat fan. Run that by us again.
Datfan.com,
Datfan.
DATPHN.com. Please bring that lady who's getting sexually assaulted.
We will.
And then we're going to, I don't know what's going on back. Now the cops are here now.
That would be
great.
fun, man.
Yeah.
San Diego,
Oh man.
out of California, I think San Diego is the best place to do stand-up because it's right there in the district.
Oh,
and
it's
there's,
beautiful.
You know,
I
there's
love that district that club. I love San Diego.
I love my San Diego comics.
Yeah.
I am from that
Yeah.
system, and
Sure.
I would say those comics are spoiled down there with the stage time. There's
Yeah.
5 comedy clubs. There's a comedy war. So much stage time, it's ridiculous.
I
They're all
know.
over the place. When they come up here, it's like the poor comics are doing comedy at a laundromat up here.
yeah.
Thank
Literally.
you.
Those
Thank
are my
you.
worst shows, the laundry.
Yeah, especially if you don't have enough money for the dryer cycle. You're just
I,
trying to,
I
it's
headline.
terrible.
I headline laundromats.
You headline laundromats,
this-
and you're part Asian,
Yeah.
and you do a keto. Look at this. This- yeah,
See, I'm in the right
a
group.
laundry service. Yeah, this is perfect.
I say they're egg rolls. I'll serve the egg rolls.
Right.
He could win Last Comic 92. man. So, Dad, this is the portion where we play Who Wrote Jokes. I basically read you classic jokes. I give you 4 answers, and you guess one. It's like, who wants to be a millionaire? Except there's no money.
There's no prize. Though.
You know?
I might lose at this game because honestly,
There's no point.
recently I've been watching a lot of dramas because I do like movies and stuff too. So I watch a lot of dramas to study.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
That's good to do.
Well,
At the
you
morning,
gotta
I
beat
might
Matt.
suck at this.
You gotta beat Matt Champagne. Matt only got like 4
Oh,
right
This is not easy.
4 out of what?
out of 15.
Okay,
See,
well,
it's
I'll,
not easy.
It's
I'll
not.
try.
It's not
I'll
easy.
try.
Some of them are tough, but
it's
some
fun.
of them,
It's fun.
some of them might surprise you.
It's fun because it's just
All right.
how it turns out.
he reminds me of Tim Conway, one of my favorite comedians. Carol Burnett show. Remember him?
Who, Alan
that's
Lee?
a That's a compliment. Thank
Yeah.
you. McHale's Navy.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
like that.
I loved McKell's
First,
Havy when.
first comedian I've met that reminds me of Tim Conway.
oh,
That's cool.
That's awesome,
Oh my
dude.
God.
Benny Hill was my first influence. That's why I was.
I-
yeah, during that time.
Buddy Hackett,
yeah.
Bill Cosby, John Ritter, Robin Williams, Jerry
John Ritter.
Seinfeld, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Jim
I did my homework.
Carrey. Cool. All right. Okay, here's joke number 1. I'm living on a one-way dead-end street. I don't know how I got there. Was it A, Michael Keaton, B, Stephen Wright, C, Jamie Kennedy, or D, Mike Epps?
I don't know. Looks like I'm gonna be matching that record of being terrible.
Oh, you could just
But,
guess one.
Okay, Jamie Kennedy.
Wrong.
Oh, and I worked with Jamie Kennedy too. I get his jokes right. What is it?
That's
Oh, this one. If you don't get this one right, I mean,
Oh, you guys are not guessing. Is it just me on
Yeah.
trial? Oh
Yes,
my god.
I have
Okay.
the
You
answer.
are,
Yeah,
Dad.
all right.
I'm sorry, you're the one.
This
Okay.
one, this one you should get right. If you don't get
Are you
this
taking
one,
tabs?
Yeah.
My
No,
Asian
no,
friend.
no, no,
Nobody's.
you-
I mean, are you counting?
No, I'm not.
I-
So nobody's counting.
I know it's
no,
counting.
No,
This is
when you get it right, we
Okay.
rip it off.
Oh, I see.
And then,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
no,
you
we
sh-
do rip them off. We're
Yeah.
not counting in that manner.
But you should get
Excuse
this
me.
one right. This
Excuse me.
one's one of my favorite jokes. I'm sure it's one of your favorite jokes too. I knew comedy was a thing for me when I was the only Asian kid
Oh, okay.
in
This is
school who
mine.
failed math.
Well, I'm guaranteed one. You know what would suck is if like I was like, who is that? Is that,
he misses this
is that Benny Hill?
Was it Joe Coy, Bobby Lee, Dad Fan?
Yeah. You start naming off like white comics. I was the only Asian guy in high school that failed math. Like, is that Benny Hill? That's crazy. It's Jack Black. What's going on? Yes, John Ritter. He failed math.
So you
Joke
got
didn't make
it.
any sense. Yeah. Okay.
It's cool that
I
you
got
this
one.
little joke.
One for
You-
one.
For one.
No,
Well, one for two. One for two.
You're
Two.
ahead
Yeah,
of
yeah,
many
okay.
other people, myself included. Dad.
I went to a meeting for premature ejaculator. I left early. Was it Richard Pryor, Red Buttons, Red Fox, or Damon Wayans?
It's either Red Fox or another old school comic. That's an old school structure, right?
Yeah. It's old school.
So it's I would say Red Fox.
No, it was Red Buttons.
Ah,
That was
he's
good.
old school. He's old school.
school.
That's an old school formula.
That is
Yeah.
a history
Yeah.
lesson.
It's a 1-2 type
One,
of thing.
two.
Yeah.
One liner.
Yeah. I mean,
Close.
well,
Yeah.
Close. Red-
I kind of don't want to play this game with you because I just want to talk about stories.
I'm
but
terrible at this game. I'm telling
Okay.
you. I do not. You know what I watched last night?
Dad
I
Fan
watched,
got one. We're
I
ending
watched,
the game.
I watched her, and then I also watched The Holiday. I am the wrong guy.
Yeah.
I am the wrong guy for this game.
This is
Yeah.
This,
So I'm telling you right now.
we're giving, ladies and gentlemen, we were giving up Who Wrote Jokes.
You know,
I trained with MMA fighters, and then yet I watched The Holiday
Yeah,
with
The
Jack
Holiday,
Black and Kate
because
Winslet.
Dad has just redirected
Right.
our shows. We don't have to do this.
Yeah, Dad sucks at this game so bad, folks. We're redirecting
no,
the
it's
dynamic
not
of
that,
the show.
It's not
Your
that he
stories are
sucks,
so
it's just
good.
His stories are so
Are
good.
so knocking us out, man. I
Like,
mean, like
I-
we don't even.
I'll do anything but play that game. I'll tell you.
we had Matt Champagne on last week, and like that's all we wanted to do is play the game.
He
And I was
loved
like,
the
no,
game.
we
He
wanted
loved
we
the
wanted to hear
game.
stories.
I'm better at movie quotes than games.
We were going to
You
do
know
that
what I
when we
mean?
run out of
How
jokes.
do you
Oh,
like that?
okay.
So
How do you
next
like
season
that?
we'll call you, get you on, do movie quotes.
Yeah.
You'll blow 'em
Dramas
away.
or
We could
whatever.
even-
Yeah.
And you never far drive, did you? I realized that you live in the area.
Yeah,
yeah,
you know,
'cause
I got here
for a
before you
moment-
guys.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is that I'm the Asian guy staying on the sidewalk.
was
I got here 20 minutes ago, but here's the thing. you guys were in the car, but mostly not Asian, except for the part of you that's part Asian. And I was like, I'm standing on the street. You got Dad fan on the street going, "You guys gonna get hit? You're gonna get hit," because I just watched a car accident happen 20 minutes before you guys got there on the same
I told Alan
lane.
to park in the driveway, and he's like, "No, I just want to make sure Dad knows we're here." I was like,
Yeah, I
"How are we
wanted to
gonna
wait.
get
But
in the driveway?"
These guys pulled up to the curb, and there's
I know.
guys coming off the 101 right
I
around
know.
this whole, it's like
Jeez,
Mario
I know,
Kart.
I know.
You just needed like a banana
You know,
right
it's so
there, and they would have
embarrassing.
slid
Like
right into
Mario
you.
Kart.
You know he's an Asian driver.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
you got
Only
an
an
Asian
Asian
on the
driver.
sidewalk watching these white people get hit on the freeways. Like, so it couldn't be
And
any more ironic.
The fault would be an Asian driver,
Yeah.
a half
Yeah.
Asian driver.
Yeah, that's true.
See, that's really.
So, when you started doing comedy, who's the coolest guy you ever opened up for? Because I'm sure there's guys you opened up for that let you say, "Here, Dad, do 5 minutes." You know what I mean?
The coolest guy I've ever opened up for, there's several of them.
But the one that taught you the most, that like really, you know what I mean? That really,
Pablo Francisco.
yeah.
A lot of the comics who've worked here in SoCal, especially, know who Pablo is. If you were to compare it to superheroes, Pablo is the Superman of stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
If you watch him on stage, bullets bounce off of him. This guy, he does multiple voices, high energy. He does character pops, flips back and forth. He does different blocking dynamics. He's got it. He's destroying and crushing. He's a kill room.
Yeah.
He kills the crowd in a good way.
Yeah.
And to me, I felt like at the time when I was able to open for Pablo, this is right before Last Comic Standing, and I was opening for him when I was just barely living under a desk. But Rita at the Improv discovered me, and she got me to open for Pablo a few times. That's like Robin, like Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
It's like Robin
Yeah.
opening for Superman, and watching like me going up to do my few hits here and there, getting off, and watching Superman come out, and lasers are coming out of his eyes.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I mean, he was just vaporizing the crowd.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot. Very humble. He's like, "Dad, I just want to tell you, don't ever think that you're better than somebody. It's like a fight. There's always going to be someone newer that's going to be able to take you out someday.
Yeah.
So you won't win every time. So keep that in mind, that there's always some guy out there that can take you out." So he always kept me humble.
This is nice.
And he was speaking about himself too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was very generous. Just a lot of advice, and just it's wonderful, fun to hang around with.
Well, see, the reason why I asked is because my friend, he actually used to open up for you, and he
What's his
doesn't.
name?
James Jericho.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You
I know James
James.
quite well.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I'm gonna tell you guys about how my relationship with comedians and friends and all that stuff. I'm extremely a business comic.
Yeah.
I train like a martial artist with
Yeah.
stand-up comedy. So the ones that don't take it seriously, I almost look like a jerk when I
Yeah.
talk to them, because if they don't take it seriously, I respond to them as if someone who's a fighter who's not taking it
Yeah.
seriously. And that's why when I train with fighters in martial arts, I show them the respect, saying I'm not a fighter. I'm not one of the, "Hey, I want to be in the UFC," and I don't really train that hard watching these guys blood, sweat, and tears, right?
So did
and the same
James
thing with
get
stand-up.
past step 1?
James? No, I'm just talking about comics in general. No, James actually, I'll say this. He actually listens quite often, and he tried really hard. He promoted like crazy,
Yeah.
and still does, and he tries to work on his jokes. So I give props to James for working. I just asked for a comic to try.
Yeah.
When they're not even trying, and they tell me that they want to be a pro, you might as well just spit in my face.
I'm
really,
exactly
that's
the
just
same
wasting
way.
my time.
It's a
Because
lie.
I'm not a huge comedian yet, I mean, I still got a
Nor
long
I.
way to go.
Yeah.
But I do get these occasional headlining improv shows sometimes, and people always ask me, "Hey, can I do a spot?" And it's like, I don't care so much about if you bring people. What I care is if you promote.
And try.
You know what I mean? If you
And
try.
well, actually, I have a way to monitor them. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Oh, you
yeah,
do?
that's gonna sound really creepy.
Oh.
But no. Here's the thing: when the biggest thing with me with stand-up comedians, especially new ones, is don't flake out. When you make a commitment,
Do
I
it.
make it very clear,
That's
because that's like being a martial artist and saying that you're gonna be part of a fight,
There's
or you're gonna
no
go to a
way.
tournament,
If you don't show
and you
up,
just don't even show
no,
up.
that's
Yeah.
You let down your corner team, you let down your
that's-
school, you
that's
let
It's
insane.
down.
happened
I
to me
mean,
so many
that's
times.
one thing
and when
I
they do
like
that, I go, you realize what you're doing,
And
right?
then they ask
Yeah.
for a second chance, and it's like, why should I give you a second chance
Yeah.
when you screwed up the first chance?
And there's comics that you give them a second chance and they blow it again, and I'm like, man.
You only give the second
Yeah.
chance to the hot chicks, though.
No, actually, it's funny. I was raised by I have 8 sisters.
Oh,
They're all
really?
older than me. I have my mom, so I was raised by 9 women.
9 women.
So as much as I'm straight and I love women, at the same time, those female comics, no matter how hot they are, I learned after a while, they're commandos in the trenches with you. They're the fellow soldiers. If they go, "Hey, you know what? I have this down here and I have this, so I'm going to get away with this." I'm like, "You know what? You're basically shooting the soldier next to you by doing this."
Yeah.
And saying, "Well, I'm an opposite gender, so I treat the women the same as I treat the male comics."
Yeah.
I treat them all as basically soldiers marching into a battlefield.
I totally agree with that because like one of
soldiers,
my best friends is Rosie Tran, and she's beautiful, gorgeous. But when she does stand up, she like doesn't talk about being the hot chick. You know what I mean? She just does the jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
I usually admire female comics that, I mean, you can always dress up the package later on with the nice hair and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the ones that try to look like they dull down their looks,
Yeah.
and they really try to train hard to be a comedian, those are the comics, the female comics I respect the
Committed.
most.
Yeah.
Because that's like them wanting to train,
Serious
like to
and
fight like us.
Exactly.
As opposed to going up there
And
trying
just,
to. Because if you think about it, when they show how pretty they are, it's
fluff.
very distracting
It
for the
is.
audience. You got a bunch of dudes like staring at them like it's a strip club.
Yeah, that's
And then
true.
they're doing sexual jokes. It's like, okay, well, if there's not a whole lot of punchlines,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's what I like about your stand-up is like you want the punchlines. There's some comics that don't have punchlines and they just have stories. You
To
know what I
me,
mean?
being a comedian that just tells stories and does not have punchlines, and this is my own beliefs, that's like being a fighter and not having any actual strikes at anybody. You're just dancing around.
You're just dancing
Yeah.
around
and
the
that
ring.
doesn't really. There's
Yeah.
how are you gonna knock the person out? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Well, see,
you know-
Tom Arnold's stand-up is like that. I mean, but see, the thing is, I love Tom
Okay,
Arnold.
I didn't say that. He said that.
No, no. But I love Tom Arnold because I could relate to him because
Right.
Tom Arnold has Asperger's syndrome and I have
Oh, okay.
Asperger's syndrome. So like, I could relate to him and his
Right.
jokes. So I think he's the funniest guy. But I know audiences don't because they don't get the
But
you know,
my thing is putting Tom Arnold aside because I didn't study his style.
yeah.
With stand-up comedy is this: if you can make the audience laugh by not doing punchlines,
You're funny.
more power to you.
Exactly.
That's great if you
Yeah.
can pull it off. But if you have laugh ears and you're up there and you're bombing
Yeah.
and you're just telling stories,
that's not.
that's
it. That's
just
not it.
delusional.
Delusional.
Really, you got to find a way to record your set
I
and
hear
really
you.
count
hear
how many laughs you're really getting or something.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Absolutely.
So-
And we were talking about comedy on some show, and it was brought up that how giving comedy is. When you go up there, you're giving yourself to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're boxing for the audience, you're throwing those punches, and they have to be those punches that you're giving to those people who have paid to see you.
Sure.
Yeah.
I also look at it as you're dancing with the
Dancing.
audience. The audience forms a collective entity, and if you are dancing and you're feeling their energy and you're rolling with them
Yeah.
and you're adapting and all that stuff, you're a great dance partner, which is
you.
you're a great comedian, right? But if you're just kind of like, well, no, I did great, and all
Yeah.
you did was just drag your feet around like a dead body up there, you're the worst dance partner.
Thank you.
That's just my own belief. As far as
Now
stand-up
I have
comedy.
one last question before we go since you brought up dancing. Do you have any desire to audition for Dancing with the Stars?
I would be terrified, and I admit this.
You'd be good on
I'm
it, though.
terrified of singing and dancing in public, and I secretly been taking singing classes.
Oh, really?
And I'm taking guitar lessons, and I've been going to the Millennium Dance Complex and watching them, and finding a time to put in my schedule between martial arts to learn how to dance.
Yeah.
I'm terrified
I've
of
watched you
of
move on
blowing it.
stage. I can't believe that. I've seen you move.
But the movements
like,
are. I did take ballet,
I mean, they
but
look
for a short period of time, ballet mixed with taekwondo.
just-
And it gives me the agility on stage. But if somebody told me to do ballroom dancing or jazz dance or whatever, I'm like screwed up there. And I'm terrified of not doing it right in front of the girl
Yeah.
up there.
That's probably the
yeah.
scary because Andy Dick, who's a buddy of mine, he said that he didn't really care about that because he likes both.
Sure.
Both meals, you know. What I'm
But
saying?
you know, but his style, he doesn't mind.
Yeah, but I mean that's what I'm
Blowing
saying.
it.
Like he got in shape and he got buffed
Sure.
out on that show.
Yeah.
You know.
But here's the thing: is that people go, "Oh, nobody's watching you." And I tried it one time. I actually danced with a girl. Everybody's watching me. As a matter of fact, they're putting this on YouTube. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, today. And they want, this is funny. Look at him. He looks like a fool. Let's tape him and put it on Vine right now and
were
show.
gonna put it
Oh,
on.
totally. So it's a real ego sensitive thing that
Yeah.
I'm trying to overcome my fears, and that's one of my fears.
I
And my original fear was public speaking. Actually, I had to.
That's-
I had
That's
to
what
That's
everyone
hard to
says
believe.
is
Yeah.
the hardest
That
thing.
I
but-
was
Yeah.
so nervous. I was basically borderline throwing up half the time, and I had to overcome my fear. Here I am, 18 years later.
Yeah. Well, you're a
Doing it.
great public speaker and a great comedian, man.
Thank you. Hopefully, I
Yeah.
could sing and dance someday.
So follow Dat Fan on Twitter and
Instagram.
Facebook,
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
I was going to say MySpace, but I
Yeah, Zanga. Follow me
Zanga?
on Zanga and Live Journal. I'll be on there.
Do you still use the MySpace? Or?
Yeah, I do. I talked to the 4 people on Live Journal and MySpace, and then we just cry together. And I just found out one of those 4 profiles is me, so I'm just talking to myself.
And then you should listen to this guy's Twitter name. You could follow Alan at
Alan Lee Commie. And I am not a communist.
Yeah, I like how you say "commie" in the middle of admitting that you're part Asian. That's good. Just,
See, the C,
Yeah.
Alan Lee comic, but they refuse.
you should
to
just change
say
your
it.
name to North Korea. That would be. Let's see. He's like, he's gonna kill. He's North Korea.
and he,
Yeah.
and he has like 2 followers.
Yeah, so I'm not too afraid.
I think people
Too
are.
far.
Yeah.
I think people are scared.
It's
to
Dennis
follow.
Rodman and Kim Jong Un are your 2 followers.
Oh no. I think it's me and my mom. I don't know.
Well, it's better than nothing.
And then I'm Keith Reza. You can follow me at Keith Reza. We're here with Dad Fam. Thanks for doing it, man.
Thanks
It
for
was
having me,
fun.
you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you
Very
so
funny.
much. You were great guests. Wow, I'm
Dude.
blown away. I'm just
And
going.
tune in to Razor Riffs next week. Thank you and have a good night, guys.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.